Okay, so that's step one on that. While I've still got this paint on my brush, I'm going to go in and I'm going to put a nice highlight on this side of this line because we know that the light's hitting this side. I'm going to put another one here. I'm just making it very loose, very random. Okay, and I'm going to say let's clean our brushes because there's another step before we go back and do more of that. So we're going to get black on our brush now. Very little paint, flattening it out both sides of the brush. So we've got to push these railings, spindles back behind this railing. So now you just go back over this one again. We make this over top and we make this over top. So now those are in behind. If we have to do any other touch-ups, like I lost my railing here, so I'm going to go on the right side of my white. If there's any other areas that need just a little bit of a touch-up, you can do that now. As well, I want to create more of a line here. I ended up going over it with my white. We're going to be filling this side in some more, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. You're just kind of looking at what you've got and whether you've got to do anything else. I'm just going to make a little bit more black there. Okay, so clean your brush. So now we're going to go back into the white because we've got some areas on our railings that need some white. So get your white on your brush on both sides. Again, very little paint. You don't need much. So I'm going to leave that for a second because it's still a little bit wet. So we'll start down here where we know it's not wet. So we're going to put a white highlight. I just noticed something that's bothering me. So this is what happens. I'm going to clean my brush. I've just noticed another area on my painting that needs some attention. So I'm just quickly going to load up the black. This area, this railing now needs to push back. The banister, I guess, has to push back the railings. Okay, so now that that's done, okay, clean that again. And you'll look at your own painting. When I say push back, that's what it means. So when we painted these in, it came over top of this line, which pushed it in front. To push it back, you just go back over this again. And that's what I did here. Okay, so let's load up the white. Okay. So I am going to add a little bit of a highlight onto this side, like a little bit thicker, because this is where the light's hitting a lot. I'm going to get actually sometimes I do this. I have both brushes loaded at the same time. My small flat to give myself a highlight on the right side of these. Okay. As well, this might be a little easier to do with my small brush. I'm leaving this side a little like darker just because it will create that round effect. Now that I'm done with the small flat brush, I am going to clean it out. Carry on with my large flat brush, and I'm going to be adding my highlights to this railing. It's still a little damp, so it's now coming out as gray. That's okay, because then I can come back after and just do another pop of white, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, and that's pretty much that for now. We'll come back to it in a bit. So clean your brush. I'm going to change my paper towel here just because it's gotten really wet. Okay. So let's mix up some of this other lighter red. So I think I don't want orange and I don't want pink. So I'm just going to go into my second red and just see what actually I'm going to use my small brush. I just realized when I was loading that is going to be too big. So let's just go into the small brush, because what I want to do is just come into this section, use the brush, just come across. And so that is a little lighter. I'm going to come back after a bit with the dark and come back into that. But while I have that loaded, I want to deal with this side of my roof. So I'm just going to paint. When I come back with the dark, I'll come probably 2/3 of the way back. And we're gonna highlight our dot too. And red is a very translucent color, so it is a little bit of a challenge. So now I'm going to continue along with my darker color. And you will have different colors than me, and that's okay. I'm going to add a little bit of brown here. Wow, it is a challenge with red. So when I come in here, it's going to be a little bit darker, but I'm not seeing a difference. So we've still got work to do. Let's come across here and I go right into there. So that actually worked really well. If you saw how I pulled my brush stroke right through there, that was still wet, so that actually helps to merge the colors. Actually, that has worked beautifully. You can see a light side and a dark side. This one is causing me grief up here, so we've got to lighten that right side. Oh, try a little bit of yellow. I know that makes orange, but let's just see. That gives us what we want up here. Oh yeah, that's working. So I just added a little bit of yellow to my red. And I actually might even do a little more yellow just on this far side here. I'm dealing with wet paint, so it is pulling off, so I'm going to have to leave it for a minute. But it is starting to create the illusion of a side of my roof that has light hitting it. Okay, so I'm going to change my water and I will be back for the next and final part of this painting.